Before I introduce you to my next guest today, I want to make sure that you're aware of two new resources to help you to increase your productivity, clarify your purpose, and improve your communication skills. The first one is our Facebook community called Leadership with Purpose. So it's a private community. So go to Facebook groups, search for Leadership with Purpose, and send a request to be invited into the group. There's a few questions for you to answer, and then live to have you a part of that community of other like-minded leaders. Our team is really excited about launching the Next Level Coaching Roadmap. It's a group coaching format, so highly recommend that you check that out and to get your questions answered. If you're a leader that's experiencing any of the following, this is definitely a group format that's going to help you break through to your next level within leadership and your career. So if you have any fear about moving to the next level in your leadership career, this is a group that you'll want to connect with. If you have loss of confidence, if you're kind of confused, like not knowing really how to tap into the hidden job market, if you have a desire to really to grow to the next level, this is definitely a group that you'll want to be able to connect with. If you want to know how to stay calm in a high stress environment, there's going to be strategies, tips, and resources, conversations all around how to develop skills to do just that. So if you want more information, head over to warrenwandling.com/the next level coaching. And in there on that page, you'll notice more information about the coaching roadmap, but also there's a link for you to schedule a phone call with me so we can help really figure out if this is the right fit to helping you take your career to the next level. Okay, again, that's warrenwandling.com/the next level coaching. Well, welcome back to another episode of How to Become an Obstacle Buster. I'm your host, Warren Wandling, the show that's dedicated helping leaders and entrepreneurs to overcome their obstacles, build resilience, and achieve success. And I have a great guest to help us do just that, Chuck Hogan. Welcome to the show, Chuck.
Oh, thank you, Warren. So happy to be here today.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. As a managing partner at Your Best Life, an organization helping people to evaluate finance, family, fitness, and faith to maximize their best life through mentor strategizing, community, and exclusive once-in-a-lifetime experience. Tell our listeners a little bit about your business.
Oh, thanks, Warren. Well, we decided actually during all times of COVID to go ahead and launch this enterprise. And what we started realizing was for a lot of folks, they were finding frustration and trying to find not only outlets during that time where it was kind of an asocial environment, given the circumstances of a pandemic, but we also started looking at different modalities of faith, family, fitness, and finance and how intertwined these are in our lives. So we said, okay, what is it that people are needing right now? Well, they need connection. They need an opportunity to be able to express self and to commune with other people. So we became very cavalier and we started doing 4 trips a year. And this was in 2021. Went to Costa Rica, went to Greece, went to Park City, Utah. We've gone to Vail. We're getting ready to go to Rwanda in May. And every single trip has a different, I'll say, category that we're concentrating on. So if it's finance, we bring in the best speakers in the world to talk about supply chain, artificial intelligence, investment strategies, tax hedges, how to actually raise capital. If it's in faith, it's let's not look at this just from an ecumenical or religious standpoint, but how do we actually come together and culminate together in the universe, our energetic force, our resonance, our frequency, how people are showing up and where they're living. And in family, well, there's no question. Happy wife, happy life, happy home. It really facilitates giving more continuity. And then, of course, on the last one, fitness, because true wealth is health. And we started to understand that if you are flailing in any one of these categories, or you haven't been able to put the time, energy, and intention, that a rising tide raises all ships, but a ship that's anchored to the bottom of the ocean floor will start to drag down everything else that you're trying to facilitate because all of these are tethered together. And so YBL looked at the trips, but we started looking at something else. And many people call it coaching. We prefer to use the term mentor strategizing. We've brought on the best of the best. And when I say the best of the best, these people are absolutely phenomenal at helping people convert from being business operators to business owners. And this became very paramount in the focus where we're helping people get back time, energy, and being much more intentional with clarity as to the capacity and the culture and even the cash flow that they're facilitating within their businesses. So many business owners, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs are so tied to their businesses, Warren, that they find themselves fighting to find time. And it's the one thing that has a constant burn rate. When you're sleeping, you're burning time. Working out, burning time. Having fun, burning time. Working hard, burning time. It's the universe blessed you with 12 hours a day, 12 hours a night. And at midnight, it resets every single day. So where are you investing your time? Are you being intentional? And the last part to this is, are you filling up? Most people are operating in a level of unconsciousness, or on the other side, they're struggling to maintain a level of survival and they're not really living in a thrive ideology. And when we look at things through those different filters, it definitely changes the action plan, our intention, our motives, and where our energy goes as well. And also the type of people that we're attracting into our sphere of influence and relationships. And so, in a nutshell, that's what YBL is all about. It's about finding continuity of like minded and like hearted people.
Wow, it sounds like a fantastic program. And just to clarify then, check with the program, is it a year long and you just meet 4 times a year somewhere in the world?
No, actually, so thank you for asking that clarifying question. What we do, Warren, is we actually have a very, I'll say, robust engagement. So we actually have a weekly speaker spotlight. So every Thursday, tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Pacific, we will have guest speakers that come on for an hour and deliver content in one of these four focal areas. That's every week. Every Friday, we actually have a program called the Seventh Degree, and it's a business mastermind that runs for 2 hours. And one of our mentor strategists will take on topics like culture creation, AI psychology, if it's supply chain, hiring practices, how to retain talent. We really go down, and it's that program is much more business oriented. And so that is a monthly membership for someone on an entry level. We also do an intensive 5-week program, 5 weeks to financial freedom, where we literally take entrepreneurs through a 5-week program, and daily for 90 minutes, we go through different modules that have measurements and accountability, that we give people time, but there's tasks. And this moves them forward in their thought processes. And then on top of this, you have your weekly strategist sessions. And we recommend only having one a week, so that way people can really concentrate and not get so caught up in just the learnings, because shelf help doesn't get you anywhere. Looking at a weight doesn't get you in better shape. You need to lift it. And so we put in spaced repetition to make sure on all these pillars, but you have access to 6 different strategists that are relationship experts, that are health experts, that are business experts, and in different modalities of business as well. So in this yearly membership, which is the YBL membership, people can go and have access to the entire program facility. For those that want to do the 5-week program, they can sign up just for that. Many of them end up upgrading and going to the membership, where they have access to the trips as well.
Well, interesting. Yeah, thank you for that clarification. So what is the greatest obstacle that your clients encounter then?
Mm. Most of the time, it's analysis paralysis. So many of these people are so intellectual and they are so brilliant, but there's this kind of presupposition that people who are business operators, that no one can do it as good as they can. And what we've been able to help people identify is that there are certain modalities and there are certain nuances in their skill sets that they have grown to be able to do competently. So they have a conscious competence about doing them, but they don't love doing it. It's not what drives them. And in fact, it's a time suck, if we're really being 100% transparent. So we said, okay, what if we change the narrative? What if we actually hire someone who is far better than you at bookkeeping? Because last time I looked, you really love being in front of people. You love running the operations, being a leader manager. But what if, in order to get back some time, you could actually hand this off to a qualified bookkeeper who's possibly even a CPA? And now you're getting a twofer. What if we could bring someone else in? You're great at sales training. We know that you're the heart and soul of the company. What if you could bring someone else in that had the same drive, the same motivation, the same passion, and yet they're not at your pay scale? In other words, if you're a $2,500 an hour guy, now you're bringing someone in at $75 to $100 an hour, and yet they're doing it as great as you are with your heart, your frame, your intention. Now you have the confidence of being able to grow your business and scale and put your energy where it can actually better serve you, plus getting some net time back to actually enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Right. So when you're in that process with those leaders that have grown their business and they're really close to it, do you have a strategy that you use with those leaders to help really release the control so
We
they can feel confident with who they put in that position?
Absolutely. So what we do is we actually go through a psychological evaluation with their team to make sure that they have the right. We use a number of different types of modalities for this, but we enjoy using DISC model. And DISC has been great. I spent quite a few years with a very renowned behavioral strategist who's very well known in the world, Mr. Tony Robbins, and I had the pleasure of serving in that community as a volunteer trainer, a senior trainer for many years. And when you start to understand the human behavioral cycles as to natural and adaptive states, you can really lead people into feeling a much higher sense of fulfillment, Warren. And that's what's amazing is when you start to see people actually enjoying themselves again. They're laughing, they're celebrating. They're not like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. And how often is it work? Every freaking day. So we looked at it from a different modality and said, okay, what is it that you need in your life? Here's an interesting scenario. Most people are asked what they want. They are not identifying what they need. And when you get down to the brass tacks of it, there's only 5 things you really absolutely need in your life. You need air, water, food, shelter, and love and connection. Now, if you want to get more in depth, there's 6 human needs. And that's where people need certainty, uncertainty, significance, love and connection, growth, and contribution. The only one that crosses over into both modalities is actually love and connection. And here's why. As human beings, we have a requirement to be able to connect with other people. And every business that anyone will ever be involved with, irrespective if it's B2B or B2C, is all P2P. Someone is consuming something, buying something, getting a service, getting a product, and it has these different nuances that come along with how people actually exercise what they're doing in their business models. So control is only perceived. What we're asking them to do is to actually enhance and collaborate with people. So it's not about negating or mitigating. It's actually about enhancing their current profile within their business that gives them freedom.
Wow, excellent. So as you build this business, what are some key strategies that contributed to your success?
One of them is actually slowing down. It's the most amazing thing that when people start getting momentum, they think that they need to put the pedal to the metal and push, 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 push. What we've actually found is that it's so important to measure what's moving. Now, this is where comfort can be critical. Most companies, when they get into a comfort zone, will actually start to self-sabotage because they don't have the same drivers and fuel that move them to get to where they are today. That hunger, that desire, that if you want to call it that innate need to succeed. So we started to understand with a lot of folks that getting them outside of their comfort zone, and I'll put it a different way. Think of it as a teeter-totter. And if people are like, oh, I'm looking for balance, and I'm like, no, you're not. Oh, Chuck, no, I'm looking for that work-life balance. And I said, trust me, my brother or sister, I'm going to share something with you. And when I got this concept, it shifted my entire life. You're looking for harmony. You're not looking for balance. Balance, if you're standing on the middle of the teeter-totter, straddling both sides, is survival. That's stasis and comfort zone. You can't measure what's not moving. So, what does this mean? We're actually looking to be in a conscious state of imbalance that allows us to live comfortably with the level of uncertainty that we can actually take on. But we are going to be competent about gaining momentum because even if we shift 1 or 2 millimeters to the left or to the right, Now we end up creating engagement. Now we have direction. Now we have purpose. And when progress equals happiness, what feeds progress is possibilities. When we start to move forward and we can actually assess and feel that there's possibilities around us, it shifts everything. It shifts everything.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. Certainly so. That's really within your program. Harmony is what allows people to focus on those categories: finance, family, fitness, and faith in the busy world. Instead of balance, you teach your clients to be able to have harmony and release the need to have balance.
Harmony allows for flex and flow. When we are looking for balance, it's almost like horse trading. We feel like we're giving to get. It's kind of like when someone goes, I really want to get in better shape, but I'm going to have to trade a couple of hours of my day in order to do that. And I go, well, that's not true. We've got one of our members who's a godfather of biohacking, Dave Asprey. If you get his book, Smarter, Not Harder, he's going to show you that within minutes a day, you can actually start to affect your physiology, your mindset, your sleep patterns, your nutrition, and really elevate and shift without the need to put your body under additional stressors. It's like, whoa, really, this is where we're going. Well, let's test the theory. If you're a proponent of artificial intelligence and you've been using Chat GPT in any way, shape, or form, this thing learns at such a rapid pace that it is daunting to see the level of integration that you can start to utilize for languaging, for pattern recognition, to help optimize your linguistics and how you are represented in front of someone. And keep in mind, Warren, that this thing actually defaults. Now, new Chat GPT 4 is at a higher level, but the original Chat GPT was at a 5th grade level of communication. And that's because everyone can understand a 5th grader.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, which is fascinating in reference to the level of how information is being processed.
Oh, it's at light speed now. You know, the supercomputing capacity that's going on is going to dwarf the last 50 years of development. And yet I will remind everyone that although some of the nuances of rote or mundane work will be taken out by AI, the other side of this is that if you are someone who's utilizing AI, you're going to be indispensable because people still do business with people. Mm-hmm. The human condition is such, and this is where it goes back to love and connection. We as communal beings need to resonate with another energy, and artificial intelligence does not provide that interface yet.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yes. So I'm curious, how does heart set create your mindset?
This is one of my favorite concepts. Oftentimes, people will start to manifest and say, I just need a stronger mindset, Chuck. You know, it's like, and I'm sure, Warren, you deal with people like this all the time. They're like going, come on, man, you just get your mind right. And I said, well, why don't you get your heart right first? See, the truth is that most people's needs are being facilitated by an unconscious driver. And they go, well, okay, I don't get it. I said, well, what makes you breathe? What makes your heart beat? Said you don't consciously decide. You can put your focus there and shift your heartbeat and even control it to a degree. You can shift your breathing and do the same things as well. But here's the challenge. The challenge that beckons is that 90% of the time, and I would like to say 100% of the time, when you are sleeping at night, all of this is going on unconsciously within your body. And yet the shift is this, and it's a very simple one. When we start to adopt the same ideology and we ask ourselves 3 simple questions, how am I feeling right now? So you asked me earlier with an entrepreneur, I'm going to ask him if we're in a very heated exchange, I'm going to say, we'll just use the name John Smith. John, how are you feeling right now? And he'll go ahead and express himself and say, I feel a little agitated, or I feel a little apprehensive. I feel uncomfortable. It's like, great. In that feeling at this moment, what does that mean to you? And in a business setting, it might mean that they don't feel like they're in control, or that they're not being heard, or that they're not being respected. None of these is necessarily true, by the way. It's all perception, but perception is reality. Mm-hmm. Then we ask another question. John, how do you need to feel instead? And here's what's remarkable about this. When you hear someone respond and they go, you know what? I just need to feel valued. I need to feel heard. I need to feel compelled. It's like, awesome. But here's the challenge that happens, Warren, and we see this a lot with mindset. Mindset oftentimes starts with hypothecated outcomes and goals that were not a full body experience manifestation. In other words, if someone had a banner year in 2022 and they go, Chuck, we grew by 50%. And I'm like, John, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, so proud of you, brother. What do you attribute it to? Well, we got a couple of those monster POs last year that were on hold from 2019 into 2020. I said, gotcha. And he goes, so I'm thinking we're going to go ahead and in 2023, we're going to go ahead and boost this thing up and we're going to go for another 50% growth. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Do you have additional POs? Do you have capacity? Do you have the foresight to know that you're going to get some more big orders? He goes, no, we fulfilled all those, but we're on a roll, brother. So I just figure we're going to go ahead and pick a much loftier goal. And I said, okay, wait. Do you know most businesses, if they increase by a margin of 5 or 10% annually, that is mammoth growth? You had a banner year because you got lucky and had some back orders that were fulfilled. Mm-hmm. I'm going to urge you to look at this a different way. I'm going to ask you, and we're going to go to your C-suite's team and by proxy through the entire organization and find out how do they need to feel most often in marketing, in sales, in engagement, in product fulfillment, in servicing, in scheduling, whatever their market modality is. And then what we're going to do is say, that's great. So we understand your why now. Why is this so important? Because it's how you feel. And when you're feeling great, your energy goes up, your frequency goes up, and you attract the other types of people in your world. In fact, you'll attract higher level clients when you actually believe in what you're representing and sharing with people. So the next question we ask is, what direction do you need to be going in order to feel this way most often? And we're going to ask this a very specific way, personally and professionally. Because if someone's having discourse at home, it's going to affect their business. It's going to affect their performance. It's the same human being, but they're resonating at different frequencies in different environments. So from that standpoint, we ask the third question. Who needs to show up to the party? What are the skills? Who do you remember you need to be? That you're a loving, guiding, caring soul that actually gives a hoot about your clients and the fulfillment, that you care about this company, that you are intelligent, you have a great sense of humor, you're a hard worker, and maybe what we can also let go of in your identity, which is maybe self-judgment or beratement or comparison. What if you knew you had a team behind you, no different than a Navy SEAL or a fireman or a police officer or a coach or an athlete, or a mother or a father or a friend or a spouse? Said, what if you knew you weren't alone and that you actually have an entire team and they're committed, same heart set? Heart set is shared values. And the only way, Warren, we get to know that about a person is if we go deeper with them. That's not a superficial conversation. That's a deep-seated conversation. And we really get to know each other. Here's the cool part about it. No one judges values. You either have alignment or you don't. But when you start to understand that there's value alignment, now there's trust. And there's also something else that comes with this, and that's vulnerability. When you give permission to someone else and you say, you know what? I'm going to ask you to do something for me. And as a leader, and as a CEO, CFO, COO of a company, you say, when you see something, I'm giving you permission to say something. And there'll be no judgment on my part. I'm just going to ask you to do me a favor. Do it from a place of love. Do it of a genuine place of concern and connection. And I'll never question the motive or intention behind it. And I'm going to ask you for permission to do the same with you. Do we have an agreement? And it's up to them. They have a choice. But then you start to see a lot about people's character, their exposure, their level of trust. Because remember earlier in this conversation, I said it's the amount of uncertainty that you can comfortably live with. Because the number one thing that will kill any business is if people don't feel safe. And so that creates complexity because now they're in their head most of the time instead of their heart space. And that will definitely affect their mindset.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So once you establish the heart set and you're strong in your values, then that's when is that when you start creating the mindset? So there's no limiting beliefs that you're clearing out because your mindset's going to be clear on what you've just expressed in those questions that you ask them.
Absolutely. Where focus goes, energy flows, and ordinary things done consistently produce extraordinary results. So, if you want better abs and you start doing abdominal crunches every single day and you start looking after how you're eating, all of a sudden you start seeing results. Why? Because your focus is there. And where focus goes, energy flows. If someone is constantly dealing with, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to deal with this person today. Oh my gosh, they're going to ask me more crazy questions. They're going to ask me superfluous things that don't mean anything and they're not going to listen to me anyway. I go, well, that's a terrible mindset because now you feel disrespected. It's the antithesis of feeling valued and worthy and contributory. And so, yes, to your point, you can actually get buy in. But here's the best part about this: everyone judges outcomes and goals. So if you get 99.9% of the way to a goal, even if it's a hypothetical one, but you don't hit it 100%, the brain only has two default mechanisms: pass or fail. And if you get 99% of the way there, Warren, this is what the brain will say to you. Really? Really, dude? You fell short again? You didn't have it what it took to get over the finish line? Oh my gosh. How weak are you? And people go, wait, what? I go, yes, but you got 99% of the way to a goal that was hypothetical. And you were right there. I was like, why aren't you celebrating every step of the way? All the advancements, all the growth. Because last time I checked, you get one life. And if you're constantly waiting to hit benchmarks. So I love this saying: I love the man or woman that loves to walk. Because just for the sake of walking, they will make progress because they enjoy the journey. The person who is trying to just get to a destination will stop walking when they get there. They get into a comfort zone. They feel like they've hit their benchmark. Here's what's sad: they will not progress further than the limitation of the destination that they put in front of themselves. But the person who loves to walk will continue to have a lifestyle and a life of milestones that they will hit because they're enjoying the journey along the way. And here's the best part: it's infectious. They will carry and take people with them. And it's kind of like the movie Forrest Gump when he just starts running,
Yeah, right.
right? And all of a sudden he has this entire collective of people. And he's going back and forth, coast to coast. Why? Because he felt like it. It was just to run.
Mhm.
Well, this is the same in businesses. When we have a mission and we're creating value, I have never met a company yet in all my years that didn't succeed when they were creating insane levels of value. Because there's only one way you can do that. You have to have a very flexible mindset and heart set, and it changes and it's adaptive to the needs and the value system of your clients. And where most businesses, you asked me earlier what holds people back, they exercise the golden rule and not the platinum rule. They will treat people the way they feel they would like to be treated, when in truth you need to treat people the way they need to be treated. And the only way you can do that is by going deeper with them and having some qualifying questions that really create the value proposition. So now there's engagement.
Wow. Yeah, that's really good. I love that concept that you shared around heart set to give clarity to our listeners of how they actually can make an impact with the right mindset because they're not just connecting from a mindset perspective because there might be some disconnect as they just focus on the mindset, but connecting with the heart set, that's really key.
And it is, and for one very valuable reason, Warren, and it's a very simple one: people like people who are like themselves. So when you start to find alignment in your value systems, it doesn't mean that you agree on everything. You can have the same principles and values, but many people have different rules to meet those values. And if you can find flexibility in the approach vector, if you can find autonomy where you set a very clean frame of moral engagement, where now people, the value alignment is there. Simon Sinek, I just adore the
Yeah.
man and his ideology about infinite mindset. And I'm going to give full credit to Source because Simon has it spot on. He goes, difference between a finite and infinite mindset. Most businesses are running in a finite cycle. So they're playing the game. They know all the players that are in their sphere of influence and in the game. Number two, there's rules to the game. And if you break the rules, there's penalties. And number three, there's only one outcome, and that's to win the game. That's a very finite ideology. But an infinite mindset propagates a very different set of standards. Number one, you only know some of the players. And that's because as you're advancing and growing, and there's the fluidity and progress within your organization and in your people and personnel, because isn't that the blessing, is to see people grow and that we get to grow with them. And it's like, wow. So do they outgrow you? Sometimes. Do you outgrow them? Sometimes. Having someone have their freedom and moving on is not a bad thing. It's just a matter of ecology. But the second rule, which I love, there are no rules. There's only value alignment. So it gives you ultimate flexibility to be able to be completely congruent and authentic, which isn't always easy, by the way. And then the last part, there's no winning or losing. There's just staying in the game as long as you can. I've never met a person on their epitaph or their obituary that said, I wish I would have worked harder. I wish I would have made more money. Hey, I don't know a billionaire that wouldn't give away every penny they had to have more time on this earth. So if time is the most valuable asset we have, and it's the thing that has a constant burn rate, I highly recommend people start time blocking and getting very, very, very directed about how they're investing their time and not getting distracted. Because if you believe in the work that Jim Quick does on mental health and brain capacity, when you get shiny penny in any way, shape, or form, even for a few moments, it negates your effectiveness by 85%.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So being on task and being in task and being present is imperative. Absolutely imperative.
So I'm curious, do you get pushback like with some of the leaders around time blocking, like they feel restricted if they use the power of time blocking?
Well, here's the interesting part. They do it automatically. And here's why. Most of these people have rituals. So they get up a certain way, they stretch a certain way, they do their Egoscue exercises, they may spend time on their treadmill, their elliptical, whatever the case might be. Then they go and take a shower, then they have a cup of coffee, and it's like, okay, so they have rituals. They actually have time blocking. It's just never been defined that way. But what happens is that they rely on sometimes other people to manage their schedule. And I said, great, if you have a wonderful VA, make sure they're high S&C because you need someone who's steady and someone that can look at all the calculations and all the data because you want them to keep you on task. They're going to save you from you. If you are a free thinker and you're a high I influencer and a D, or if you're a high D and you're like a doer dominant, hey, you're going to be so shiny penny because you're always looking for opportunity. That's great if you're growing businesses, but you need leader managers. So you fall into one of three categories. You're an artist, you're a leader manager, or an entrepreneur. Artists want to create. How often? All the freaking time. They're all shiny penny. Leader managers, they're all business. SOPs, KPIs, they want to make sure that there's standard operating procedures, key performance indicators that they're measuring constantly. And then you have the entrepreneur. They're the big picture people. They want to throw money at something and they know it's going to fail sometimes and it's going to, work sometimes. But you've never met an entrepreneur yet that hasn't had a broken business. I think Bill Gross is one of the most prolific of all time. He's had 11 companies that he's taken over $1 billion. Do you know how many he had that failed? Hundreds.
Yeah, right.
So Babe Ruth, if you're going to be a home run swinger, it's like the same thing.
Right.
It's a matter of percentages. But this is where, again, how much uncertainty can you comfortably live with?
Yeah, I love that question. That is a powerful question. So briefly on the goal mapping, I know that's an area that you focus on.
Yes.
What's one of the key steps in goal mapping that would be helpful for our listeners to know?
Get out of your head. Get out of your head. Head dead, heart smart. You'll start to judge the outcomes and goals. So when we're setting goal mapping, it really comes down to how you need to feel. A lot of times people will make it about monetary or physical things. So you'll see someone put together a vision board and they'll have a Bugatti and a big house in West Palm Beach, another one in Zurich or Lake Como. They have a dollar figure. They have their perceived relationship and the woman of their dreams or the man of their dreams, the number of children, the type of dog, the type of clothing, Versace, Kamali, Prada, whatever the case might be. And I go, that's great. Things and stuff come and go. In fact, stuff gets old, it goes out of style. You know what doesn't? Happiness, health, continuity, connection, growth, experiences. Your life, by definition, is the culmination of all your experiences and emotions that you, during your period on this earth, occupying this carbon body, that you get to take with you. When you transition, your energy never leaves. It just goes into a different level of existence. But your presence is always felt to those that love and care about you. And that's why heart set is so important. No one will go, oh, just a brilliant mind. You go, no, they were a brilliant person. What a loving soul. What a caring individual. Maya Angelou had it right, Warren. She has two sayings that I've lived my life by, and I love them. One is, people will forget what you had to say. They'll even forget what you did. They'll always remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, I love that quote.
And the other one is no one cares what you have to say until they know how much you care.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really powerful. I love the concepts that you're sharing with our listeners today, certainly around how you feel, because I think that helps a lot of listeners that are working with mindset or goal setting to be able to really connect with what they're trying to accomplish.
Thank you for that. And I will say this, one of the other challenges, because again, things have a tendency to come in a trilogy. It's never one thing, it's everything. When people go, what's the one thing if I just did this? I go, well, there is no one thing. You're a culmination of all your experiences. In fact, it's the same body, but you're a different person in the boardroom than you are in the bedroom. At least I hope you are. You're a different person in the bedroom than you are in the gym. You're a different person in the gym than you are on the playground with your kids. And I said, so you're a different person on the playground than you are in church. So, or your place of worship. It's the same person, but different modalities. And so the one thing that we can all fall back on is that we're all 3 years old at heart. And when you're 3, you have 3 responses, literally: happy, sad, or okay. So when things are going your way, you're having an experience, you're happy. When they're not, you're frustrated, you're agitated, you're sad. And when you're just neutral, which is the most challenging because this is the comfort zone, this is where there's no growth. It's just stasis and existence. And it's a very frightening place to be. And unfortunately, much of the world is living in okay right now. They're getting by. They're not motivated. They're not nurturing and maturating themselves to move forward. It's like going, wow, that's so sad to see someone squandering their time. But where the people have the most difficult challenges in business is connecting to their emotions. They think it's woo-woo. They think it's like, well, how do you measure an emotion? I said, are you happy? Do you love what you do? Are you excited? Is morale great in the office? I said, because that's all culture. Because if you're banging numbers, but you're burning through people and you're all you're doing is leaving carnage by the street side as you're going by, that's not a sustainable ideology.
Right.
Things to
Exactly.
think
Well,
about.
yeah, I love that certainly connecting with your emotions, because that's really key, because that's going to help drive from thoughts and your actions and beliefs, but really helping people to understand the importance of connecting with their emotions.
Absolutely. I actually had someone ask me about this the other day, Warren. They said, come on, man, I went out and bought a car. And I go, and how'd you feel? He goes, I got to be honest with you. This thing makes me feel alive. I said, it's a car. He goes, yeah, but you don't understand, man. I've been waiting to buy this Porsche for like 50 years. I was like, okay, and how'd you feel? He goes, I walked in, Chuck. I didn't have to finance it. I saw it. I wrote a check for it. It's mine. And I said, how did that make you feel? He goes, worthy, successful, happy, elated, childlike, sophomoric. I was like, whoa, keep going. He goes, I mean, he turned into like a 19-year-old. And I was like, wow. I go, this thing really makes you. He goes, oh, and not to be derogatory, he goes, best sex I've ever had. I bought that car, my wife and I, we're like two teenage kids again. I'm like going, okay, that was more than I needed to know. But on the other side, I said, what shifted? He goes, I did. I said, so what is it about the car? He goes, no, because now my wife and I are talking about if something's so simple that we've worked so hard for, yet we've denied ourselves all these experiences to take care of our kids, to take care of everyone else. And now that they're empty nesters, they're taking care of each other. Oh, I got to tell you, Warren, he is the wealthiest man on the planet now. He's lost 35 pounds. And they're both like getting in prime shape and health, and they're going on cruises and trips together. That is true wealth.
Yeah, that's a great example that you share in reference to the importance of connecting with how you feel.
Yes.
Awesome conversation. I love all the great, actually, nuggets of truth that you've shared with our listeners, really to help them connect, to make sure they can reevaluate. This is a perfect time to do this, wherever you're listening to it. If it's the beginning of the year or the middle of the year, whenever you're listening to this podcast, just stop and reevaluate to make sure that you're connected to how you feel, to your mindset, as well to your goals.
No, that's wonderful, Warren. I'm so grateful for this time. Thank you so much. And
Yeah. So, any special projects that you're working on?
We are actually. One of the things that we do within YBL is every time we go on a trip, we do what we call our impact activities. And so for every country we visit, if it's replanting coral for the coral reefs, if it's buying shoes for the indigenous children in Peru near Machu Picchu, which we were at this fall, we found a village of about 300 children, and we were able to raise money so that way for the first time they're actually wearing sneakers and shoes on their feet and not these little sandals made out of recycled tires. We contribute to homeless shelters, music programs in Costa Rica. So our intention is that if you're going to be a world changer, make a difference wherever you are in the world. And it doesn't have to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. It can be literally you picking up trash on a beach in Mykonos, which we did for about 5 hours. So understanding that your currency is more than your wallet or your pocketbook. Most people have no problem writing a check. We actually do things. We actually impact. We connect. We share. And I'll leave you with this thought, and that is sharing is caring. So your story, your experiences are not yours to keep. They're yours to share. Don't be selfish. The world only gets better by contribution.
Wow. Exactly. Yes. Thank you for sharing that as well, to making sure that people continue. The world needs to have them to be able to reach their full potential, because someone else needs to have that same belief.
Without question.
So I know our listeners would want to be able to connect with you. So what's the best way for them to be able to reach out?
Oh, come check us out. It's if you want to check out our website, it's very simple. It's yblnow.com. So your best life, the initials, now, because when would now be a great time to enhance your life and take it to the next level? And it'll give you a synopsis as to who we are, what we do. It'll share all of the tidbits, our trips, and how we integrate into the world. And thank you for that, Warren. I don't often raise that or lead people to the website, but the truth is that I'm here to contribute just like you are, brother. But I'm grateful because if people want to check us out, I'm not going to be selfish either. And we'd love to be able to help people attain and meet their levels of growth and expectation as well.
Well, excellent. I'll make sure that link is in the show notes as well.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for this time and for hosting this forum. It's been brilliant and beautiful. I really appreciate your questions and your time.
Yeah, thank you, Chuck. I appreciate you sharing all your strategies and tips, helping our listeners to break through their obstacles so they can achieve success.
Pleasure's all mine.
Well, until next time, this is your host, Warren Wandling, saying, be resilient and be an obstacle buster.